refrain from making any noises in the meeting room. May God bless the United States, the state of Tennessee, and DeKalb County.
Let us pray. Lord, we thank you another wonderful day. We thank you to be gathered here, Lord, to represent, Lord, the county, not only the county, Lord, but to represent you. So, Lord, let this meeting be conducted in an orderly manner, Lord. Let us always put you out first. Thank you for everything you do in our lives, God, but most of all, thank you for your Son that you sent down on the cross for us. Just lead us tonight, guide us, direct us, Lord. Guide us every day. Forgive us where we fail you. These things we ask in thy name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, can you call the roll, please?
Tom Chandler. Here. Tony Luna.
Here.
Larry Green. Beth Packard.
Here.
Myron Rhodey.
Here.
Greg Matthews.
Here.
Justin Adcock.
Here.
Tim Reynolds. Glenn Merriman.
Here.
Susanna Cripps Daughtry. Daniel Cripps.
Here.
Jeff Barnes.
Here.
Sabrina Farler.
Here.
Tony Cole.
Here.
11 present.
All right, we have a quorum. First item on our agenda is public comments. Would anybody like to come and make any public comments to the commission? All right, seeing none. Our next item is to approve the agenda.
I
Anybody
make a motion, we accept it as read.
All right, Myron made a motion to approve. Second by Sabrina Farler. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Approval of minutes. Anybody like to make a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion.
Tony Colwell made a motion,
I'll second.
seconded by Greg Matthews. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Our financial reports. Our first is our local option sales tax report with a net collection of $582,147.24. Would anybody like to make a motion to acknowledge our local option sales tax report? Motion by Tom Chandler. Daniel, you offer a second? Daniel Cripps offered a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Our budget amendments, we have 8 budget amendments in Fund 101. Would anybody like to make a motion to?
I make a motion that we combined all those together and vote on them as one.
Alrighty, and approve?
Second.
All right, that's seconded by, I think it was Colwell. So we got a motion by Myron to combine all of Fund 101 budget amendments and approve them. And that was seconded by Colwell. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Well, let's go ahead and take a roll call on these budget amendments.
Yes.
Tony Luna.
Yes.
Beth Packard.
Yes.
Myron Rhodey.
Yes.
Greg Matthews.
Yes.
Justin Adcock.
Yes.
Glenn Merriman.
Yes.
Daniel Cripps.
Yes.
Jeff Barnes.
Yes.
Sabrina Farler.
Yes.
Tony Colwell.
Yes.
11 yes.
All right, we have one more fund, which is Fund 122 budget amendment. Would anybody like to make a motion to approve the?
I'll make a motion, we accept this 122 fund
All right, Myron Rhodey made a motion
and to approve it.
to approve the Fund 122 budget amendment.
Second.
Seconded by Glenn Merriman. Is there any discussion? All right, we'll take a roll call.
Yes.
Tony Luna,
Yes.
Beth Pafford,
Yes.
Myron Rhodey,
Yes.
Greg Matthews,
Yes.
Justin Edcock,
Yes.
Glenn Merriman,
Yes.
Daniel Cripps,
Yes.
Jeff Barnes,
Yes.
Sabrina Farler. Yes. Tony Colwell.
Yes.
11 yes.
All right, motion passes. Our committee reports. Our first one on November 30th was our Community Economic Development Committee. Would anybody like to make a motion to acknowledge these minutes?
I'll make a motion.
Tony Colwell made a motion.
I'll second.
Greg Matthews seconded to acknowledge the Community Economic Development Committee minutes from November 30th. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Our next one is the Jail Committee on December 18th. Would anybody like to make a motion to acknowledge these minutes?
Motion acknowledged.
Daniel
Second.
Cripps made a motion, Myron seconded to acknowledge the Jail Committee minutes from December 18th. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. All right, the next one's our Purchasing Committee on December the 20th. Anybody like to make a motion to acknowledge these minutes?
I'll put that in form of a motion.
Myron made a motion.
Second.
Seconded by Jeff Barnes to acknowledge the Purchasing Committee minutes from December 20th. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion passes. Our new business, we have the Sheriff's Department's policy and procedures. Does anybody like to make a motion to approve the Sheriff's Department's policy and procedures?
I'll make the motion.
Glenn Merriman made a motion. Anybody?
Second.
Seconded by Myron Rhodey. Is there any discussion? All right. Go ahead and take a roll call on that as well, since it's a action item.
Tom Chandler.
Yes.
Tony Luna,
Yes.
Beth Pafford,
Yes.
Myron Rhodey,
Yes.
Greg Matthews,
Yes.
Justin Adcock,
Yes.
Glenn Merriman,
Yes.
Daniel Cripps,
Yes.
Jeff Barnes,
Yes.
Sabrina Farler,
Yes.
Tony Colwell,
Yes.
11 yes.
All right, motion passes. Our next item is any other business properly presented, and in our workshop meeting, 911 Director Brad Mullinax approached us about the radios. We've spoken a little bit about it in our Budget Committee meetings and our Health, Education, and Public Welfare Committee meetings, and he kind of did a presentation on that, so I would like to kind of open just the room up for discussion among the commissioners to see kind of where they want to go on whether they want to take any action now or later. I did speak with Brad a couple of days ago about would they be willing to extend it to February instead of the January 19th deadline for that Motorola deal. And they said they would, but there was some kind of other parts of that maybe we wouldn't get some of the same technology, maybe the Wi-Fi capabilities or things like that those radios could do inside of buildings and things like that. So, but the offer is still in town. I just want to open it up for discussion, let y'all talk about it a little bit.
There was, what, 7 of us was at the meeting?
Yeah, I know
It was a
we
bad time.
didn't have a whole lot of people here.
What do we need to do to have a special call meeting so everybody can be here and hear the same presentation that we heard?
So yeah, we can do that.
And if the 19th is the deadline, we need to do it several days prior to that.
Right. And in the workshop, I talked about a couple different options we probably had were either make a decision tonight or do a special call meeting, which is absolutely okay. We can definitely do that. We can plan that tonight and just,
Would it be
And-
possible to do that, maybe, is January 8th the next time we'll have a planning commission meeting? Would it be possible to do it after that meeting? Or-
yes, yes.
Okay.
Yep,
And try to get the department heads, EMS department heads, where they can discuss
Yeah. we can-
pros and cons,
Absolutely. Yep.
because I'd like to hear their input.
Yeah, there was still a lot of questions, but a lot of times you don't think of the question until, the next day or so after you've had time to kind of sit and let
But
it
there
all
was a
sink
lot
in.
of great information that
Yeah.
was given to us that everybody needs to hear.
Yeah, and we can do that. Would y'all like to just call a special call meeting just for this? Go ahead, Jeff.
Mr. Chairman, can we just move the regular meeting up 1 week? Because this, meeting, I think, the fourth Monday's the 22nd or something. Could we just move it
Move-
up a week and
Move up to the 15th?
the 15th, would that give us time to get the contract signed if it passes in?
Yes, we would have to move our workshop,
To the Thursday or the?
to the
week
11th,
before?
I guess.
If that's okay with everybody else.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have to have a special meeting that way.
Yeah, it's whatever y'all want to, whatever y'all think. Anybody else got any thoughts on Jeff's idea? Yay or nay, or?
That's a holiday, the 15th. The
I have some
15th
thoughts
is
on
a
the subject.
holiday.
But not on that date.
Yeah, I mean, I can make it.
Okay.
Just, I mean, it's
Well,
Martin Luther King.
we're just open up for discussion, so anything anybody has, if you want to go ahead and talk about
I
it.
just
later.
hope we get it, I want it early enough that we can mull over the information and have time to come back if we need to and do a vote on it before the deadline.
So this subject,
Microphone.
it's on.
It's on.
Yeah, point toward it.
This subject is bigger than just buying some phones,
Right.
Yeah, they're ready. Yeah, they're ready.
okay?
Yep.
Excuse me, radios, okay? There was an issue raised in the audit report about centralized purchasing. This, to me, looks like a good example for why we should have centralized purchasing. I'm not necessarily saying that I'm going to vote yea or nay about that, but this particular thing, there's a maintenance issue here with these phones that's going to spread across the departments. I believe the departments are probably going to raise some issues in regards to that. Phones are expensive. My understanding is the warranty on these phones is like 5 years.
7.
Okay, 7 years. More to my point, I think the deal Motorola offered was like $325,000 a year for 7 years. Guess what? We're gonna be paying $325,000 a year forever,
Correct.
because in 7 years, these phones are gonna need to be replaced. And oh, by the way, they're not gonna be 10,000, they're gonna be 12.5 or some other number. So we just need to be conscious of that. And we need to be looking at this as a county as to how this is going to be handled. I believe there might be some value in putting the purchase of this in the 911 area, because maybe there is some way there to get some funding of the maintenance and support of this through the state. So we need to look at if we were to do this in a centralized way, where does it sit in the budgets for the county?
I think there's definitely a lot more questions and discussions that we could probably have over this topic, especially since it's such a large topic to talk about, large price and large equipment. We're talking about probably over 120 radios or something that we're talking about.
And
Maybe more than that.
and that may be just for the people we have
200?
now.
230 radios. So 230 radios, $2.3 million project. Yeah, that's a big topic to talk about. So we can, I'm okay if y'all want to do a special call meeting or move our regular meeting.
I think a special call meeting, we could just concentrate and focus on this issue.
It is a
And
long
then
topic.
we could vote on it during the regular meeting,
Yeah, we could. Or just wherever y'all felt like. If we could talk about it in the special call meeting. If nobody wanted to take any action, we could take action. The only thing is, you got that January 19th deadline, so you'd have to move your meeting up
That would be fine.
unless you extended it to February, but you lose some of the technology in it, so. But that's all things that we could talk about in the special call meeting, so.
How can we lose technology if we wait 1 month? How come?
He can explain a lot better than me. Brad, do you want to just touch on that just for a second? Brad, go with the microphone.
The scope of the project that we initially included was a certain type of radio. It was an APX 8000 radio, which we thought was going to be fine. We went to the school system, and we found out that they had just recently upgraded their Wi-Fi technology inside the schools. That being said, we're going to have to change that model around to get them a little bit different radio, and that's going to change the pricing structure because we did not include those radios in that original project description with Motorola. So with that being said, the price increase goes up after January the 1st. So if we make any changes to that project, that overall project, then those new radios are going to be at the new price after January the 1st and not the current pricing. But I have my Motorola reps here. They came with me tonight, and Quinn is actually one. He said he would, extend that out to February the 19th with that understanding. If we make changes to that scope, that it may change the price a little bit. So we're not looking to make a big bunch of changes. I think that is probably the biggest piece of it is maybe that, and for the detectives, we talked to the sheriff and some of the detectives about having the LTE feature for them available as well. But it's not a big bunch of changes, but there is some things that we're going to have to tweak in it. This original project description we've done was threw together really quick, and I'm going to have to make some changes in numbers. We're going to back some stuff off and probably add stuff too. So it is a very fluid proposal at this point. So I think, we do have a hard set date that once the county makes a decision, I'll have to go back to the table with Motorola, and there'll be 2 or 3 weeks worth of work that we'll have to do as far as getting paperwork together, finance agreements, legal type documents that has to be signed by County Mayor Adcock, me, whoever, to get this going. So there is a couple of weeks worth of work there that I will have to do. So just try to keep that in mind. I'm willing to come back for a special call meeting. That's no problem. And I think these guys would probably be willing to do that too, to be a part if there's any discussion or questions that you might have for them.
These radios we purchased, are they for the schools also? Are we putting the radios in the schools, or?
This is for the school. This is just for public safety, Glenn. So there's no allocation for, school buses and school personnel. This is just strictly for public safety. Now,
Yes,
they
sir.
can piggyback off the system. They can utilize the system, but there's no radios allocated for
How
them.
many you plan on putting in the schools?
There'll be one for each school resource officer and one for a mobile radio that goes in their car with a vehicle repeater.
So it's just for the police officer?
Yes.
The resource officer?
Resource
Nothing for
officer.
the schools?
Correct, yes, sir. Now, I have been in contact with Mr. Rhodey, and we have offered, of course, we give him the pricing on some of this too, and I think he's actually talked to Motorola reps as well about potentially, starting moving forward when he orders a new school bus, buy this technology so he can transition over to this as well, which would be a very good move. It'd be something that the county's not going to have to maintain in the future as far as the infrastructure of this system. That's something that we won't have to worry about. Yeah, we're going to have to maintain our radios, but you have to maintain your radios now. You have to buy batteries for them. You have to buy antennas for them. So, portable and mobile radios don't have a whole lot of maintenance to them. They're kind of a low-profile item outside of, programming and that kind of thing, which is not going to cost anything. Your mobiles, and they just sit there and do their job, but your portables is probably the biggest thing, and Sheriff could probably allude to that better than I can, but battery replacement, something that you got to plan for, broken belt clips, broken antennas, that kind of thing, but they're not real high-dollar items that you have to replace. Any other
So-
questions?
Cool.
No, I was just asking if there's anybody else that has any other questions.
Any y'all wanna ask anything?
Even though there's a 7-year warranty on it, is there, can anybody tell us what a lifespan of a radio has been? Are they good for 10 years, 15
Quinn,
years?
would you want to come up and address that question? This is Quinn Sheridan, he's with Motorola Solutions. He could probably better answer that than I can.
Yeah, so we usually recommend updating every 7 or 8 years. I mean, with that said, you can ask around other neighboring counties, and people are running with radios for 10-plus years. So I think at the end of the day, this is a big investment, but, I mean, these things are built to last, first and foremost. There's a lot of bells and whistles, but can your people talk, and are these things going to last? And they do.
Again, I think we just, as a commission and a county, we need to be conscious of the fact that they're gonna get lost, burned, run over by a truck, and the cost is not gonna get cheaper in all likelihood.
We do have a blanket insurance policy that would cover damaged radios. I'm not sure, I'd have to ask them about lost radios, I'm not sure how that would.
You want to speak about the GPS feature on it?
Yeah, so a lot of the radios we're talking about in question here have some GPS capabilities as well. So for lost radios, I mean, there would be ways of tracking those down remotely. And then as far as just drop, break, too hot, too cold, underwater, most of the scenarios that we're in a meeting, I mean, we've been in the office here where we've got it in a dunk tank. So they really are ruggedized and kind of built for that. And we want to make sure it's working, given the line of work that the people using them are using it for, so.
And a lot of the radios we have now are pretty much obsolete. As far as repairs, parts, if we need to repair them, they're gonna be hard to get parts for and hard to repair.
That's correct. And it's not so much the portable radio that is the problem. Of course, a lot of the radios that I'm seeing the deputies and EMS carry, they're not public safety grade radios. So they're not lasting this 5 to 7 to 10 years. They're not gonna last that long. But the biggest problem that we've got in the county right now is the infrastructure piece of this. The piece that's on Short Mountain, the piece that's on Snows Hill, the piece that's out in Jefferson community is the part that we can't get fixed. And I wasn't gonna talk about this, but we had an outage this morning of about 4 or 5 hours on the SO channel. And I had to go, I didn't have any parts to fix it. Luckily, Roy Sullivan over in Cannon County had antiquated MTR 3000 laying in his junk pile, and he was able to give me a part out of it to get it back up. If that had not been the case, if we'd have had to call Dillon or Motorola to get it repaired, there's no repair option for them. They went into life in 2016, and I think they stopped supporting them in 2022. Is that right? So that's to answer your question. It's very antiquated technology.
If we go with the system, does that mean you don't have to keep Short Mountain repaired, the towers?
That's correct, sir.
So you can eliminate that cost?
That's correct. Yes, sir.
And my understanding with this new system, if we get a bad lightning strike, that we can transmit off of other towers,
That's correct, too.
sort of like a group plan.
That's correct. So around us in our immediate area, there's sites all over the place, and I heard yesterday that they're in very serious conversations with the Corps of Engineers. The state system is putting a tower down there. I think that's going to come to fruition. It's nothing I can guarantee you. I haven't seen the documents on it. But yes, to answer your question, Myron, there's actually 2 sites on Short Mountain. There's a VHF site and a 7800 site that we both have access to. There's a site in Cookville. There's a site in Mount Defiance down next to Watertown. There's one in Sparta. And we've been roaming off these towers. So yes, if we lose, for example, the one on Short Mountain, chances of both of them getting hit, is pretty slim. We would probably never notice the difference. But if we take a lightning strike at our tower on Short Mountain, you're definitely going to see it. You're going to be down for a significant amount of time. It's just the way it is. But yes, Glenn, to answer your question, that takes all the maintenance off of that. My plan currently is to leave that system online as long as it's able to function. But when things start breaking, we're just going to start eliminating that technology completely out of there.
How much have we used to spend on maintenance on that a year? You have a number?
Oh, my goodness. Well, we took a $275,000 hit in spring of last year, and that is still down. We don't have that fixed today because we can't get the technology to fix it with. It's our microwave system that we use to bounce between the sites and vote the signal from location to location. So we still don't have that fixed. As a result, we've got a tower down right now because of that. On average, it probably, between the lightning damage, or the lightning damage that we had, the ice storm that we had in 2021 was really significant and costly. It could have been a lot worse if the tower had came down. It would have been catastrophic in that case. But, you know, I would say on average, probably $30,000–$40,000 a year that we're spending just in maintenance cost alone. Tower inspections, you know, we have to keep heating air up there. We have to keep a generator serviced every year, which I do all that, but it still costs the county money in materials to actually do it. So there is some cost. It adds up. Electricity up there, you know, we have to keep power there and, you know, keep everything working. So, yeah, it does get kind of costly.
Since I'm in the Debbie Downer mode, I just did a sort of a quick 15-year look at things faced by this county. The first is the school for $46 million, the Justice Center for $50 million, and these radios will cost $5 million. So, I mean, just, it's so.
Well, the difference in the school is, we could do 2 buses a year, or however many new buses you're getting 2 a year. The first initial cost is gonna be getting about 8 base units. You need one at every school. You'll need one central office and one at the transportation department. And then you'll probably need 8 or 10, 6 or 8 handheld units, you know, for the director and for over at the shop and different places. And maybe a couple of, in the vehicles for the director of schools and myself, and then the 2 buses. And then each year after that, you're looking at just 2 new buses. I wouldn't upgrade all the buses, let the other route buses run with what we've got. But as you incorporate new buses, that's the time to incorporate the new systems.
And Myron, to your point, as far as the school system is concerned, we've already been researching, and I've had Dylan run me a couple of quotes. The radios that we would need for the schools are not going to be $7,000–$8,000. They're probably going to be closer to $3,500 to $4,000, half the price, or maybe less. You know, we might be able to find something a little bit less. It doesn't have to be public safety grade going into a school.
Right.
We can still have the Wi-Fi capability. There's a couple of radios we've been looking at, like the N50, which is the Motorola Next, which is far less expensive than these radios that are public safety grade. But, you know, I know I have come in and kind of asked for a big project to be approved, but it's the project that I feel like is going to be usable by our public safety personnel, and we're not going to have problems with it working. There are cheaper options, but I'm not willing to put my name on it and say, hey, this is going to work. And that's kind of where I'm at. You know, we could probably do something with a different vendor for 1.7 or 1.8, but I'm not comfortable that it's going to meet the demands of public safety like I am with this. And of course, we do have the deal on the table through 911 where we're going to write the county back a check for $300,000. So you basically got 2 years to kind of plan this out before you have to come up with a whole lot of money of local county money. But that deal is dependent upon if we go with Motorola, because the way I explained it to my board was, hey, we're getting something out of this. Motorola is also going to improve and upgrade our technology in the 911 center at no cost. So that's about $300,000 worth of equipment that we're getting for free. So we felt like, well, if we're going to have to buy that anyway, let's just cut it back to the county and let them put it towards the project if they want to go that route.
These radios will pick up under the hill, because
They do.
the radios that we got now will not pick up in a lot of spots, a whole bunch.
I've been all over the county. I've been to every school, inside the schools. I went to the West School last week, went to the high school, went to middle school. I went under the hill. I've been all the way to the county line. I've been to the top of Dry Creek. I've been to Austin Bottom. I've been to Johnson's Chapel. I've been to Belk. I've been to Jefferson. I've been all over. And using this system with the vehicle repeater system like we have designed it, I would venture to say it's 100% coverage, but I never like to do that because I've not set my foot on every square inch of this county. But I venture to say it would be 90 to 95% cover.
So when you talk about the Wi-Fi capability, you're only talking about the schools
the school's base stations. So it ain't like the patrol guys or EMS has gotta have some
No.
$9,000 radio to get Wi-Fi, cause
No.
there's no need in it.
No, and most of the, the school is the only place I had that problem. So I went out, and I seen you at the school the other day. That's what I was doing, Greg. I was testing to make sure we could get coverage inside those schools. Well, I run into a problem trying to connect it to their Wi-Fi. So I met with their IT director there, and he said, well, we've upgraded our system to a 802.11 AC, and we're not really willing to change back to something older technology to meet the demands of that radio. And I understand that.
Now cause the only school, I mean, is not up here anyways, the West School. So the Wi-Fi part, what is that for? I mean,
So inside the building, sometimes you have trouble getting radio signal. We have that now, getting an RF signal. Sabrina can attest to that down at her
but with the
school.
new system that you propose, this is supposed to be, the wonderland of the wonderlands, and
And it did work. It did 100% work. I took my vehicle, set the vehicle outside, the vehicle repeater was on, and it worked flawlessly. I did not have one area that I could not cover. But in my mind, I wanted to have that Wi-Fi feature available to them.
I understand. I mean, theirs are cheaper. You can buy two of theirs for one portable. So
Yep.
I understand. I just couldn't figure out what Wi-Fi had to do with.
It's basically a backup.
Okay.
And, if we're going to the expense to spend this kind of money on radios for the county, for the public safety, we're probably looking at another, and I'm just off the cuff here, nothing to quote me on, you're probably looking at another $1,200 per radio to put that in there for the schools. So over the course of 5 schools, you probably look at $6,000 or $8,000 to add that option. But I just wanted to disclose that, because if we do start making those kind of changes after this January 19th deadline, then we're probably going to see a fluctuation in the price.
So those are the only ones that are the Wi-Fi, the 5, basically,
No, the APX 8000s that we quoted does have Smart Connect Wi-Fi capability, but they don't have the specific band that the school system is using on their Wi-Fi. So I can take the APX 8000 to the courthouse. I connected it to the courthouse the other day. I took it to our office, connected, it worked fine.
So those are the portables.
Yeah, it's the portable
All
radio.
right. So the portables, is there a version that don't have it that's cheaper? Take this 2 whatever million down some.
Here's the problem with that. So if you do go with a cheaper radio, and I have looked at that, there's one called an N70 that we've looked at, but it's only a 700, 800 megahertz unit. It does not have tri-band technology in it. And one of the advantages that we have in our particular area as far as coverage is concerned is Short Mountain, the state has 2 sites up there. One that's VHF and one that's 700, 800 megahertz. The coverage is so much better with the VHF side of it that I really hate to take that technology out of that deputy's hands or an officer's hands, because then we lose that coverage map with the VHF piece, and it is pretty significantly different. When I first looked at this with these TACAN and with Motorola, I was like, guys, this ain't gonna work. They brought me a single band radio. We ended up getting a tri-band radio, and it was exponentially better.
So for the proposal that is given, does that band have to be included in that?
Yeah.
So that band made that working down by the West School even better?
Yes.
What would the difference be? Let's just say, what's the difference in the radios that has it and don't have it?
Okay, so I haven't quoted a 6,000. What is the price on a 6,000, Quinn, roughly on the state contract?
It's gonna be somewhere between like 5 and 6, it might be somewhere that number.
And the others were,
Well, they're 70, I added all the features up, and they come up to 7,200,
for the one that's
The
currently offered.
the tri-band.
So $1,200 to $1,500 more, roughly.
For the tri-band radio, it's basically what it is.
And how many radios did somebody say there was? 200 and?
There's 160 portables and 73 mobiles and 75 vehicle repeaters included on that quote.
Could we get
Repeat that
some,
again. 160 portables, what?
There was 160 portables, 75 vehicle repeaters, and 73 mobile radios.
Can you give us a report, which department gets how many?
I can right off I left my notes at the
Well, you
office,
can-
but I can ballpark it for you. So I think it was 35 mobiles and 35 portables for the sheriff's department. That's what we included. There was 80 portables and 26 mobiles for the fire department. EMS is getting their mobile radios included through the state grant, but we included 10 portables for them and 2 base station radios to go at each one of the stations, Station 1 and Station 2. DeKalb Rescue Squad, I want to say there was 10 mobiles and 35 portables. I think I'm pretty close on that. I might be off 1 or 2, but
Could we get some of this information in black and white on paper so we got something to,
yes, sir.
we've got nothing but talk right now, no, nothing on paper.
Yep, we should sure
We've
do
got
that.
Price just been thrown out there, we need something on paper that,
I did send by email your letter to all the commissioners.
I've got the full quote. It's about 14 or 15 pages long that I can get to you, Mayor, and we can even bring that to the,
Bring that to the special meeting.
Bring special meeting, yeah. And I can have these guys come back if you've got
That'd
questions
be great.
specifically about it, we can do that. That's not a problem.
Any more discussion for Brad? Thank you, Brad.
Yep,
Appreciate
very
it.
good questions. Thank y'all.
All right, what do y'all think? You wanna make some type of action, or do you wanna do a special call meeting, or?
I think we do need a special.
I think that's probably a really good idea. Just
one
to,
question for you.
yeah,
Has any other finance options been looked into
well, we talked
other than Motorola?
like a bond.
No, not on the bond. We don't want to pay on it 40 years. I'm
What-
talking local bank option. I mean, there's more options than just, it might come out cheaper than going with,
We haven't talked about any other financing options, no.
I mean, I think that's something that, I mean, on $2.5 million, that's something that can be pretty substantial if you can save 1%.
Right. What would be your preference on financing options?
I mean, I would think you would look at some of your local options.
Like your local banks and stuff?
Also, what would a 5-year do? I don't know numbers right now instead of a 7. I know you're gonna save a lot of money if you say do it 5 instead of 7. I'd like to get that number also, if we could.
Would you be willing to call around to some of the banks and find out what some of the options are for us?
I mean, whether or not they'll tell me, I don't know.
You s-
I mean, I would think that would be, something that the internal government would be.
Right.
Cool.
I'll work with you on it. We can work on it together.
I'd be
If that's
happy
something you
to.
wanna pursue. So, I think we're all kinda on the same page of doing a special call meeting. Let's break out the calendars. What do y'all think about January the 12th? Trying to find a night that we don't have any other meetings or any other events going on. I know it's a Friday night, but January 12th sound okay with everybody?
Sounds good to me.
Brad, would that give us plenty of time for you to?
I think we could probably make that work, okay? Can you guys be here? And you just tell me what you need from me. I know, Mr. Cripps, kind of all this.
He said that.
Well,
On Friday?
Yeah.
Let's just, this is
Alright.
decent.
If any commissioner has anything that they would like to be included in that meeting, far as material that needs to be brought, information that needs to be provided from Brad or anything, just contact Brad over there at the 911 center, and he can try to have all that put together for you.
What time's the meeting? 6?
Y'all want to do 5 or 6, or can y'all get here at 5? I know that's a little 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 5 push there. Is that on a Friday?
Friday, yep, Friday 12th.
And Friday's better for me.
Okay, good deal. Let me write
Here.
that down.
History room, courthouse.
There's no after-school on Fridays.
I know there's nothing going on at the courthouse, so let's just do it at the courthouse. That'd be easier. I don't want to say here and then have something rented out, conflict with one of our renters or anything. So let's do January the 12th at the courthouse. Be a special call meeting just to talk about the radios only. If you have any information that you'd like to be provided to that meeting, contact Brad Mullinax, and he'll try to get that together for you. Me and Commissioner Cripps will look at maybe some other finance options.
Could you talk with Steve Bates too and see how much a bond would be on a 7-year?
I
5-year?
did mention it to Steve about putting it on a bond. He thought that that probably wouldn't be the best idea, just because it does hurt your bond rating a little bit. The more things you put on there, and with the big projects we're talking about doing with the schools and the jails and everything else, he said it probably wouldn't be best to do a bond. He's not saying it couldn't be possible. You could do it. But given your other projected plans and projects, he probably wouldn't be the best option. He said he'd probably just do the Motorola financing plan if you could get away with it, but you'd still have to find a, like I've talked about in a meeting before, I think it was our workshop, you'd still have to find some type of funding for it. This isn't just going to be money that's just there, you know. We're either going to have to pull from something else at budget time to pay for it, pull pennies from something else, or find new pennies to, you know, new revenue to make up for it. So yeah, it's got to come from somewhere. So, and
Well, is there any lease type option? I mean,
yeah,
if every 7 years you need to upgrade or 10.
That's the Motorola lease plan
Okay.
that Brad brought up. So right now, what Brad is talking about doing is doing a 7-year lease.
Okay.
It has a 7-year warranty on it, so it covers it while it's under lease. And the payments are $346,000, and we don't have to pay the first payment for 1 year. So we get 12 months free, and then they're going to pay the first $300,000 payment. So we only have to do a $46,000 payment. But after that, we do have to come up, you know, for the next 6 years after that.
Well,
have to come up with
if this is a lease
$346,000.
program, then at the 7 years, are y'all gonna
No,
furnish
they're
new
leased to own.
radios?
They're leased to own. Yeah,
Okay.
I should have said that in the beginning, but they're a lease to own option, so they would be our radios. But you still got 6 years. You got to fund $346,000.
But at the end of this lease, they're paid for?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So it's really 2 years before you really have to make the $346,000 payment, but that's still got to come from somewhere, you know, whether it comes out of pennies out of some other fund or if it's new pennies. So
So the goal of the 12th meeting is to discuss and to also make an action if we choose to.
you can make an action at the special call meeting if you wish, or you could, you know, vote to put it off to some other time or whatever y'all decide to do. All right. Any more discussion on that before we move on? All right. Any other commissioners have any other business they'd like to speak on before we go to notaries?
Have we addressed this budget amendment yet?
That was Fund 101.
I didn't have on there, that's why I was asking.
Yeah, the fire department's Fund 101. Anything else? All right. We got notaries, it's Joanne Davis, Coleman Oyster, Leslie Trammell. Anybody like to make a motion to approve these notaries?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Tom made a motion. Greg, you second that? Greg Matthews seconded. Give Judy a second, right? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Make a motion to
passed.
adjourn.
Motion by Jeff Barnes to
Second.
adjourn, seconded by Myron Rhodey. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?